Well, we're only a couple of days away from Paris. Hot sun again now as the riders cover another near 6 hours in the saddle as the Tour de France approaches its final weekend. Today they'll pass through the beautiful departments of the Lot, the Dordogne, and they'll finish in the Charente. And they'll see some great scenery. Will be sure to be another tough day in the Tour de France. Well, let's have a look back at the start today in Cahors. All the leaders' jerseys, the polka dot worn by Soler of Colombia. The white jersey being worn today by Ahmed Chiruka. It's on loan from the yellow jersey, Alberto Contador. That's first day in yellow for him. There's the green jersey in the hot seat of Tom Boonen, out on the highway after 15 kilometres. Little breakaway trying to get clear. This is Frederic Willems, being chased by Johan Pinot and Sandy Cassar. They've just got away from the peloton. 3, 2 and 1 points over the top of the Côte de Salvezou. Onto the second climb, breakaway being established now with Lefebvre going ahead of Bogart and Cassar. Onwards to climb number 3, which is the Côte de Saint-Martial, and the breakaway have been joined by Axel Merckx after a long chase. Willems had gone missing because of a collision with a dog, and note the shorts here, the rider in white, because he's got half of them missing. That's Sandy Cassar. Well, as we join the live pictures now, I can tell you this breakaway is shot up. Nobody's chasing it. And there is Contador being escorted by Team Discovery Channel. And the gap now is in excess of 14 minutes, which has moved Bogart up by almost half of his overnight deficit.
And it's moved him up. If we're to stop the race right now, Michael Bogart would have actually climbed up into 9th position in the overall classification, which makes me think maybe 1 or 2 riders are going to chase a little bit later on. Great racing conditions are on the course this afternoon, 81 degrees Fahrenheit. Really sunny throughout the latter part of the afternoon, not much of a breeze. Theoretically, it should be the day for the sprinters. However, with that breakaway 14 minutes in front, they're going to really have to do a serious chase running down towards the end.
We've got watches on, heart rates on Christophe Monero, Karlstrom, Peter Rolish, Garcia Acosta, Marcus Burkhardt. The boys wearing our pulsometers today. We'll have a look how their hearts continue, but really it's a pretty routine bridging stage now. The breakaway is gone. This is what Cadel Evans wanted, was a breakaway to get clear and the pressure to turn off in the bunch, because he's trying to save as much strength as he can for tomorrow. But as you can see, despite all of the controversy of the Tour de France, the crowds will refuse to turn its back on this race. They're applauding the riders all of the way. Yes, of course, we all want a clean tour, but this race has lost none of its spectacle.
No, it hasn't. The people will turn out anyway, because although we know there's a great battle going on against the problem of doping in not just this sport, Phil, but every sport in the world, the crowd know that the Tour de France is a spectacle, and they know now they're looking at a bunch of guys who've pretty much made it right around the Hexagon of France. These guys we're looking at here, they can almost see up the road, and what they're looking for is the Eiffel Tower, and that's where they want to get to on Sunday.
Well, their start 189, we've got 141 heading for the final weekend. 2 of the teams still intact, Tom Boonen's Quick-Step team and Gerolsteiner as well. So the German team and the Belgian team. Feeding time in the zoo today as we just passed through the feeding station here. This is in Journiac in the Périgord region of France. And no big action here. They'll have to react, I think, in the end to the attack by Michael Bogart. He was determined to get into a breakaway today. Morale in the team, as you can understand, after yesterday when they stopped the yellow jersey from continuing in Michael Rasmussen, was rock bottom. And halfway along the road, Denis Menchov abandoned the race. The rest finished. There are 6 Rabobank riders still in the race. And apparently at breakfast time this morning, the morale had returned. And it looks as though Michael Bogart, riding his last Tour de France, is making a big day out.
It's important for him, I think, to go out with a fanfare, but at the moment we're looking at the main field being almost a quarter of an hour in arrears. For that breakaway to succeed, it depends on how the tactics are in the main field, and if the teams of the sprinters decide they want to have a crack at the victory today. If, for example, Tom Boonen wants to try and get the victory, he's going to have to send up Quick-Step in the latter part of the race, because still for the moment 14 minutes is not unassailable. Be attentive. He waited to see if anybody else was actually going to make the move, and as soon as he saw that Lefebvre was making the move, he backed off. Cassar is actually conserving a little bit of energy over these last couple of kilometers. He's never really had to kick. He's saving the only kick that he's got for the final 500 metres. Now Merckx goes.
Well, this is the way you're going to hit until somebody calls it right. Merckx looks over. Lefevre is very, very observant, but that's fainted. Lefevre thought he'd answered him, and Merckx kicked again. Now he's got to close the gap.
You know, I'd really like Axel Merckx to win this at 3 kilometres to go, though it is still 4 men. The one man who's hoping to survive, he will try and follow all the moves, is 161 in the white jersey at the back. Sandy Cassar is battered. Look at that move.
That's the way to go. He's taken the inside. They all never saw him go. That is a great move by Sandy Cassar. He's got to take his chance there. He's got to give it a go. And look at that by the man who is injured.
Well, he was injured, but he had a beautiful move. He got the surprise. That's the only way to get the gap. Now they're going to make Michael Bogert do all of the pacemaking to try and pull it back. Lefevre right onto his wheel. Axel Merckx, look at his body now, rocking around on the top of his saddle. Sandy Cassar may well have broken his duck here this afternoon. Never won a stage of the Tour de France. He's been second 3 times. He's 2.5 kilometres to go, and he's hit them really hard.
Well, I don't think they were expecting that from Cassar, and he got them at the right time. He used that obstruction in the road to take the shorter way round. Bogart will be fuming here. He's going to try and put matters to rights. He's gone again. He's realised that 2 kilometres to go and a slight uphill finish. Cassar has got a jet motor on here. He is absolutely flying.
But Michael Bogart has got the bit between his teeth. He's not giving any victories away here this afternoon. He's had a tough Tour de France. He's ridden on the front end of the main field mile after mile in the mountains. Now in the final kilometres here, he's looking to try and nail back Sandy Cassar. He's almost into the wheel of the Frenchman. He will not give up until he gets there. Neither will the Frenchman give up until he sees that there's somebody right in his slipstream. Looks over his shoulder. Don't do that when you're in a breakaway like this. You must not look back, because you lose a little bit of your momentum.
1.4 kilometres from the line now as they start to race for the finish here. Merckx is suffering badly. He's trying to hang on to Lefevre, who's inspired by the fact he is French, and that's a very typical Bogart move. Stick to your guns and try and claw this man back before the line. They are under 1 kilometre to go. There's absolutely nothing in this.
Cassar now has gone underneath the 1,000 metre to go, but look at Michael Bogart. He's finding something deep inside his body. Laurent Lefevre has had the easy ride because he's right on the wheel of Bogart. Axel Merckx, though, is in the slipstream. He's looking weak. He's looking tired. Bogart nice and calm now. He feels he's got himself into the slipstream of the Frenchman. He's checking his gears. He knows it's a slightly uphill finish. He knows the explosion to the line is going to be very important. Cassar gave a big move there. Bogart is in the ideal position, but watch out for this late burst from Axel Merckx. He will not give up himself either. Cassar is still in first position. Bogart is looking very nervous. You can almost feel the twitching. He's waiting for the moment to start the sprint. I don't think he's going to be denied here this afternoon.
300 metres to go to the line, and now it is the Français de Girard. How he's kept that 2 or 3 metre advantage. This could be advantage Merckx or Lefevre, because if you take a look at Bogart, he's not going to start the sprint till the last minute, and now he's got to go because Sandy Cassar thinks they're not going to catch him. If he gets away with this, he was the carrot right in front of them. Now they're ripping for the line now, and still Sandy Cassar is trying to go. Axel Merckx is fading away. Cassar has got a terrific win, and they've only themselves to blame. That was a fabulous finish by Sandy Cassar. The man who fell off, the injured man of the breakaway, is the stage winner of the Tour de France.
Well, he did the superb move there. He waited. He was at the front. He always had 1 or 2 metres advantage. He waited until the last possible moment because everybody was tired. Nobody could go for the long sprint here, and his kick gave him about 5 bicycle lengths over Michael Bogart. Michael Bogart has never been a great sprinter. Axel Merckx accelerates up through the middle there, Phil, but basically that was just a question of survival. Second for Merckx, third Lefevre, fourth for Michael Bogart.
So the man who was born in Paris, where the Tour de France will end in just 48 hours' time, has reminded us all that the Tour de France is on occasions for the French. A great victory by Sandy Cassar there. They just got on to him, but he never gave up hope, and he never gave up putting the pressure on. And they were confused because none of the 3 behind wanted to open up that final killing instinct to get on the back of Sandy Sandy Cassar, he got the win. Well done.
Well, he's wanted that win for an awful long time, Phil, but that was a great move, and it was the uphill finish down towards the end that caught everybody by surprise. Axel Merckx will have to say thank you to Michael Bogert for his second place, because Bogert was the man who really dug deep to pull this all back. But the Frenchman gets the win there, the win that he's been chasing for many, many years.
It just shows you never give up trying, because the way Cassar did that, it was absolutely superb. I mean, Sandy Cassar here, he was caught. It was all over, but he never slowed down, and they couldn't get bid for it today. So we can expect to see those three sprinters break clear of this pack. There's still another roundabout to go round here before we get into the 1 kilometre to go. As I say, the time doesn't really matter. Over 7.5 minutes has now passed by at the finish since Cassar won the day.
Well, Tom Boonen has 22 points advantage over Robbie Hunter in this competition, and for 5th place, by the way, gives you 22 points, and that's why they have to battle it out at this stage. Right on the front there, Hed Steegmans is looking for his man Tom Boonen. Robbie Hunter is not very far away, and you can see Robbie Hunter locked almost, well, you can almost see him locked onto the wheel there of Erik Zabel. Zabel right on the wheel of Tom Boonen. Boonen in the green, he's the big man of the sprint now. They're launching the sprint for him. Look at Julian Dean on the right-hand side as well.
And 400 to go now. The last lead-out man as Tom Boonen is tucked right into his stream. And in fact, Julian Dean has been ridden out of this one now. Sebastian Chavanel coming on the far right with Robert Foster on his wheel. And Hushov's in the centre. Here comes Robbie Hunter through the middle. A late bid by Hunter. No, is he trying to get up alongside Tom Boonen? The hill might favour Hunter as Hunter digs deep. It is Boonen on the line over Robbie Hunter. A battle of prestige. Congratulations by Hunter. I think that will do for Tom Boonen to win the green jersey, but the two greatest sprinters of the Tour finish side by side in 5th and 6th position.
Great sprint there to the line by Tom Boonen, ahead of his arch rivals Robbie Hunter and Erik Zabel. Yes, he's increased his advantage slightly in that competition, Phil, by a couple of points to Hunter, a few more points to Erik Zabel, but it's still a battle that's going to go right the way down to the Champs-Élysées. Look at Big Tom here. That man just looks like sheer power. He's concentrating on the line. He's not even looking to see if there's going to be any challenge. All he's looking for is that white line across the road, and at the moment that his wheel crosses it, that's the time when he'll cross his effort and look to see what damage have I done, and he looks back to see the face of Cadel Evans.
Well, as the sprinter pack comes in towards the end, an average speed for the day of 40 kilometres an hour. That's a very high finish. Tomorrow it is showdown time with the big time trial. The sprinters now can have a back seat tomorrow, as they haven't had today. They've had to sprint. And the winner of the stage, a Frenchman. We've had two French winners now. Top Rouge here, the River Charente. There is Sandy Cassar. 5 hours 13 minutes today. Merckx got second. They tied him at 1 second. Lefevre alongside Michael Bogert completing the 4 breakaways. Boonen coming in at 8.5 minutes later for the all-important green jersey 3rd place sprint. Hunter right behind him as Zabel. Top 3 in the sprints. They really are the top 3 sprinters now in this race. Chavanel in 8th, Eisel in 9th, and Thor Hushoff there in 10th place. 8:34. Everybody getting the same time in that big field. Can we show you some more? Robert Foster in 12th. Even Popovic has a go in the sprint these days. And Evans keeping his nose clean with a fine finish there in 14th place. They're showing us here at the moment a 3-second gain by Cadel Evans, and we're not sure why, unless they've somehow split time the field, and that will come out later when we have our enhanced prime time show with Al and Bob. Cadel Evans in 2nd and Leipheimer in 3rd.
Everybody else pretty much remaining the same. Alejandro Valverde in 6th place, Kim Kirken in 7th, Jaroslav Popovic up into 8th place. Michael Bogert, though, climbed up today to 13th with his long break.
At the end of the Tour de France, what a great way to finish one of your last stages. Can you tell us what was going through your mind in those final few kilometers, thinking this is your last Tour de France?
To be honest, I don't know how long we were in a break for, but it was just pure enjoyment. I knew it was the last time, and I was so happy that I could give something to the people on the side of the road that has supported me all year long. And it was just a hard day, you know, but I'm glad that I was there, and I got lots of people cheering me and supporting me all year long. And
congratulations, Axel.
An emotional time there for Axel Merckx, and well, let's go down to the podium, and as we're watching here the presentation of Sandy Cassar, we are hearing the referees have split time that bunch, and Contador has conceded 3 seconds in the sprint. Now that's a sign of inexperience, but there's the winner today, Paul, Sandy Cassar. In the Tour de France, the start town of Cognac, the finish town is Angoulême. By the end of the day, we should know who will go to Paris in the final yellow jersey of this year's controversial Tour de France. Well, the Charente is ready. Cognac is famous for its art and its history. We're certainly going to see some history today. This is the finishing line, the one where Sandy Cassar yesterday brought this race into town. But this is the important day of the whole tour right now. Hi everybody, and good morning America. Phil Liggett with Paul Sherwin. Paul, it's all about 3 men.
It is, it really is. It has been a very unpredictable tour since the start, and today again I have to say it's impossible to predict who is going to run out of the end of this day in the yellow jersey. It is so close between Alberto Contador, Cadel Evans and even Levi Leipheimer.
Well, it doesn't happen a lot, but the time trial over the last years of its long history has played a big part in the Tour de France. And let's begin with 1 or 2 memorable flashbacks.
Well, I remember 1989. It was the big duel between Greg LeMond and Laurent Fignon on the final day. The outcome was going to be decided on the Champs-Élysées. On this occasion, I got it completely and utterly wrong because Fignon started with a 50-second advantage over Greg LeMond. In theory, that was impossible.
Yes, when Fignon finished, he fell to the ground. He had lost the Tour de France in the time trial by 8 seconds, but there's always a winner, and it was Greg LeMond. Then what about Jan Ullrich in 2003?
Well, in 2003 was probably the worst ever year when Lance Armstrong was looking to win the Tour de France. He was going into the 19th stage time trial with 1 minute and 4 seconds over Ullrich, but then disaster for Ullrich when he went into a wet roundabout and he crashed to the ground.
Well, that was a horrible day on the road to Nantes there, and Armstrong knew that Ullrich had fallen, so he knew he'd won the Tour de France in the time trial out there west of the country. Well, what can we expect now from young Alberto Contador? He leads in the hot seat in yellow, Paul. 24 years of age, it's his chance.
It's his huge chance. He's got big pressure on his shoulders, but he's also got the yellow jersey on his shoulders, and very probably Lance Armstrong in the car following him, and I'm sure that is going to be a big boost to his morale.
We have seen a ripper of a time trial, the 4th fastest in the history of the Tour de France at 53.1 kilometers an hour. It's been won by Levi Leipheimer, who almost gave Discovery a 1-2 in the classification. Well, the situation is that Contador has been revived by the fact he had the yellow jersey on. He has now kept his yellow jersey, but we are faced with a situation of a spread of only 31 seconds atop the 3 overall. This was the man who set the test at every point. He left the blocks full of determination and fired up. He was really aiming to beat the man who was ahead of him, Cadel Evans. He set out with that in mind. He was already up at Cadel when he set the first check at 17.5 kilometers. By the time he got down to the finish, he was way ahead of everybody else who'd finished before him at 53.1 kilometers an hour. So he's now doing the time equal to Lance Armstrong and Miguel Indurain. So it's been a day for Levi Leipheimer. Honda ATV stage results here as Leipheimer at 1:2:44, 51 seconds better than Evans, 1:56 ahead of Vladimir Karp. It's important though that Alberto Contador weighs about 60 kilos, managed to get round this race with the 5th best time in 2 minutes and 18 seconds. A climber who can also time trial, and that's why he's still the yellow jersey in the Tour de France. The time trial champion of Spain finished in 6th place. Hincapie pulled out a great ride today. Discovery Channel doing well to keep their lead and increase it today in the team race because George backs up as 3rd counter. Pereira is in there, and also of course Popovic, I've forgotten about him. He also did a great ride. Top 10 completed by Mikel Aftalosa and Stefan Schumacher, who was the early leader at the Czechs, faded away, eventually finished in 15th place. The world time trial champion Cancellara in 12th. Well, it was a remarkable day all round, but watch out for Cadel Evans. He knew he had to do the ride of his life. He left looking for 1 minute and 50 seconds over the rider who would start behind him. He almost got it. In fact, he closed in the end to just 23 seconds behind him. He actually took down 1 minute 27 seconds on what was a great ride. He had to pull out something special because in the last 5 kilometers, Levi Leipheimer was only looking for 8 seconds to go over him in the overall classification. I don't know where Cadel found it from, but in that last couple of kilometers, he destroyed himself to lose no time and in fact go a second quicker than Leipheimer over those last 5 kilometers. So he saved his second place. What a day. As we go down now to see the stage winner. Well, there he is, Paul, fully deserved, not just by the fact he's done such a great time trial, but by the fact he is now a stage winner for Discovery Channel. You know, he's spent his whole tour, he's never complained about the fact he started as team leader, he's pushed out by this young kid, he's helped him, put him where he is, and he still does a ride like that. Well,
the unimpressive thing as well is he helped with Alberto Contador to try and dislodge Michael Rasmussen on the big stage that went up to the summit of the Col de l'Aubisque. So not only was he a team worker and a team helper throughout the race, this was his goal before the start of the tour.
Is it enough? Cadel Evans at 23 seconds, Levi Leipheimer at 31. Between the three of them, there's never been a podium like that ever. We've had 8 seconds for Greg LeMond over Fignon. We've had 38 seconds for Stephen Roach over Perico Delgado. But we've never had 3 riders covered by 31 in the history of the Tour de France. We then go out to 7 minutes and 8 seconds to Carlos Sastre. Zubeldia in 5th. Further down, in fact, all of these riders for the first 8 kept their places, but out of 9th went Soler, the king of the mountains. In came Astolosa, and up completing the top 10 there was Pereiro. Now back to the podium. There he is. This time he can smile. He's looking back at 23 seconds, but there won't be a great opportunity tomorrow. But we should remind ourselves, 2 time bonuses on the road of 6 seconds each, 20 seconds for the man that wins the stage. Theoretically, it is possible for him to lose the Tour de France. There may have been doubt at time, but we are now home. Paris is on the horizon. The riders starting just 30 kilometers away from the Eiffel Tower, and they'll be taking the long way home today, all 141 of them. Paris is en fête, as the French say. Everybody is here now to welcome the arrival of the 94th Tour de France. You're looking there at some of the most famous cobblestones in the world, right here on the most famous road in Europe. Hello everyone, yes, sadly, welcome to our final live coverage here on Versus of this 94th Tour de France. I'm Phil Liggett, this is Paul Sherwin. We have seen, despite all the controversy, I feel, Paul, a great event.
A phenomenal event. How many times can you think that the time trial is looking to decide the top 3 positions in the Tour de France? Yes, we've seen in the past a battle between the top 2 places, but yesterday it looked as if it was all going to change in the last 5 kilometers. That on the final day there is not normally a battle, but there are time bonuses available on the Champs-Élysées. There's 6, 4 and 2 time bonus seconds, and at Châtenay-Malabry at 74 kilometers there are time bonuses available there too. And of course, let's not forget that on the finish line 20, 12 and 8 second time bonuses available for the first 3 men to cross the line.
So those bonuses might prove particularly important today. We'll see if they decide to go for them. Evans is the man who needs them most, and there are all the winners of the principal jersey. Well, let's correct that. The leaders of the principal competition at the moment. They've come to the front at the start here in Marcoussis. This was moments ago, by the way, as the riders started their rollout, heading now to the end of what we've always called the neutralised section before the flag goes in. The champion of France in the tricolour jersey, he represents France, Christophe Moreau. It's been very disappointing. He was amongst the favourites in the first week and he fell away.
Yeah, well, certainly the riders, I think, will move away fairly slowly in the first part of the race. It was actually raining at the finish in the early part of the morning. The temperature today, 64 degrees Fahrenheit. There have been a number of showers, but on the finish line at the moment, the weather is dry, and we're hoping that that will dry up down towards the end. And it is starting to dry out those hallowed cobblestones on the Champs-Élysées.
Well, as we look down now, what we're going to see is a lot of these shots with the crowd lining the route here. Saluting Alberto Contador. He might be put under pressure. He doesn't know. He doesn't think so, judging by these pictures. thumbs up to French television. Room to smile now, I guess, after the way he's ridden to the Pyrenees in particular.
Well, he's completely and utterly decked out in yellow here this afternoon. Even his bicycle is yellow, I must admit, Phil. I think that he's still a little bit worried about the fact that his advantage is only 23 seconds over Cadel Evans, 31 seconds over his own teammate Levi Leipheimer, and that's the amount of time that if he has a mechanical incident on the last lap on the Champs-Élysées, there's a big problem there.
Well, Paul, the 189 who started in London for one reason or another, in the first week it was all broken bones, I'm afraid. Only 141 are reaching the finish. That's about right for the dropout rate. 48 riders have gone, but two teams, Gerolsteiner from Germany and Tom Bohnen's Quick-Step team, are bringing all their riders home, which is terrifically impressive. And for Tom Bohnen, of course, could be a huge advantage in the final sprint today.
Well, I wonder if at the front end of the race, the yellow jersey and, of course, the men who finished second and third overall start to analyse their races tonight, Phil, because Levi Leipheimer lost 10 seconds because he was given a time penalty on one of the Alpine stages when he was slipstreaming behind the car after his accident to get back into the race. That 10-second time penalty would have put him up into second place. Or will Cadel Evans wonder about the 55 seconds that he lost on the stage down into Loudonville? He would have been a 1-minute leader in the Tour de France this afternoon. I hope they all think and remember that they've given their best, and it all went down to a magnificent battle yesterday on the road between Cognac and Angoulême.
Well, I guess when you look back from the comfort of your own home in a week of time or so, you're going to say, now, how did I lose the Tour? There'll always be places when you could have picked up time, where you threw it away, where you weren't paying attention, where you chased the wrong rider down. And let's face it, Rasmussen caused a lot of confusion for 9 days as race leader. Cadel Evans in particular spent a lot of wasted energy trying to contain him, and then he's sent home by his team. Crucial time. I can tell you, though, that the riders have just been caught, uncannily so, almost as Lance predicted, in sight of the last lap. They're now all together as they race towards the final last quarter lap of the Tour de France. It's Lampre trying to control at the front. Everybody is in the pack now. The yellow jersey going around the corner of Alberto Contador, and George Hincapie behind as the rear guard, making sure he just keeps out of trouble as he heads towards the victory in the Tour de France. And now, as they disappear under the Rue de, they'll come out here on the Rue de Tivoli, swinging down to the left. As we're now seeing them line up here for the finishing line here down the side. The flags of Norway flying, Paul, the flags of Thor Hushovd indeed. This might be a big finish for him now, but they're trying to lead out Daniele Bonatti. This is going to be all of the sprinters together.
Well, right there in second position, Julian Dean. I cannot see the position of Thor Hushovd at all. I can see moving up there Jaroslav Popovic looking pretty good. A couple of riders from Quick-Step, Tom Boonen moving up the main field now into a roundabout 8th position. On the Champs-Élysées, that's not bad. He's right on the wheel of Robbie Hunter.
He is indeed. He's trying to get over the top of Robbie Hunter here now, and Robbie Hunter and Tom Boonen are about 6th or 7th as they come across the pace. Place de la Concorde now, when they turn up for the finish, it's about 250 metres to the line. The sprinters are itching. Remember, Boonen has won here before, but this one is special. He needs the points. The teammates are swinging off now as they head onto the front of the... Now they can see the finish. Watch for the green jersey of Robbie Hunter. Contador also. This is the big lead out now. Bonatti sitting and waiting. Hushovd in third wheel. Zabel goes on the right.
Of the 2007 Tour.
Oh, the relief now as Contador wins the Tour de France, and congratulations from Paulinho.
Enough points to remain in the green jersey. He will win the green jersey of the 2007 Tour de France this year as well. What a confusing sprint that was.
Well, let's have a look at the result. Bonatti is the winner in 3 hours 51. Hushovd, Zabel, Hunter, Tom Boonen takes 5. Paul, they are the top 5 sprinters of this year's Tour de France. I would make it the top 6. Chavanel in 6th.
I was going to say Sébastien Chavanel has ridden very well. He's made himself in positions in the top 10 a lot more than his brother Sylvain Chavanel. Boonen giving up there on the right-hand side. Bonatti, let's not forget, he crashed a couple of days ago as well, but here he's got the victory. That was a fine move.
And he's got 2 wins to his credit now. He had to work hard for the other one. It was a long breakaway before he won that one, and he was nearly outwitted by the men we always refer to as the stayers and not the sprinters, but no, it wasn't to be. Well, this is the lead out, which really should have gone the way. This is Sébastien Rosler, the time trialist on Quick-Step, leading out, giving it everything he's got to set it up for Boonen. So he gets the win equal to the one he got in Castel Sarrazin. That was from a small breakaway of 5 riders, I think it was. And now he beats the whole lot to the line on the end of the Tour de France. But let's not forget the man who's won this Tour de France. It is a win for Alberto Contador with just that small 31-second spread across the top 3 finishers. Cadel Evans becomes the first Australian to get a place on the podium. He finishes in 2nd place, and Levi Leipheimer, well, no, the Americans have won this Tour a few times, but Leipheimer, for him, that's a superb result in 3rd.
And I think, as Lance Armstrong said to us a little bit earlier, Phil, the important thing is that Leipheimer was looking for the podium place.
In the time trial wasn't bad for a guy that doesn't ride a great time trial up against the superior time trials of Cadel Evans and Levi Leipheimer. So there is a great future for a 24-year-old who's just won the Tour de France. And let's also say well done to Geraint Thomas as well, the British rider, the youngest rider in the race at 21. He also finishes the Tour at the 1st attempt. A very, very good performance indeed. Final result tells us the same as this morning. In fact, Evans finishes 2nd, 23 seconds short of the win. Leipheimer just 31. Carlos Sastre always tipped for a podium, or not far away. You can't get closer than 4th. 7:08 down. Zubeldia in 5th place. He equals his best ever finish in the Tour de France. Valverde gets to the end this time and finishes in 6th. That's his first Tour finish. Kim Kirken, brilliant, in 7th place, and Popovic in 8th place. And a renaissance of Mikel Astalosa, who once won the Tour Down Under in Australia. That's his only win. Finishes 9th in the Tour de France. Welcome back as the Mayor of Paris and the Mayor of London make their way to walk towards the podium. And now comes the man who's won the stage here in the sprint finish, thanks to the lead out of Quick-Step, his rival team. There's Bernardino, 5 times winner of the Tour de France, welcomes him aboard. Daniele Bonatti framed perfectly of the Arc de Triomphe behind Bonatti. Right in the middle of the road here, which in the next 6 hours takes the flowers. Well, we're looking now here at Tom Boonen, and he's won here before, so he knows what Bonatti feels like, but this is what he wanted, Paul, the green jersey.
He's dreamed about this. You know, the sprinters, they want to win on the Champs-Élysées. Tom Boonen has won on the Champs-Élysées in a prior Tour de France, but his goal before the start of the Tour was this green jersey. And the difficult thing for a sprinter is not only getting the points, but it's also difficult getting the green jersey and dragging it over the big mountain passes, because these guys, almost every day in the mountains, they worry about getting eliminated because they're not good at going up mountains. But when they turn on the speed on the flat stages, they are impressive.
He was very worried 9 days ago when he was involved in the crash approaching the finishing line in Montpellier. Robbie Hunter won to maximum 35 points, and he thought, one more day like that and I won't win.
Of King of the Mountains of the Tour de France.
So he steps off the podium with a shake of the hand of Bernardino. Probably doesn't know who he is. I reckon he probably never watched the Tour, and Bernardino was winning it 5 times. But I'll tell you, he's delighted with this here. King of the Mountain standings then. Solar wins it convincingly, of course. 206 points, plays 128 of who else but Contador, the magic man in the Pyrenees. Popovic, absolutely brilliant, 105 for him. Cadel Evans, if you weren't good in the mountains on this particular Tour de France, you weren't going to finish high up overall.
Certainly not, but this is the man who finished high up overall. What a great performance. The reason I like this man's performance, Phil, is because he went and attacked. Whenever the race went uphill, he went on the attack. He wasn't scared. He wasn't even thinking about conserving any energy at all. He wasn't riding a sensible race. He wanted to battle. This is the first jersey that he's going to receive here this afternoon.
The white jersey of the best rookie of the Tour. Sounds rather strange saying that in view of the fact we're about to see him win the race, but Alberto Contador has got the white jersey as best rookie, and he's only 24 years of age, and he's about to do the double and get yellow as well. Well, he's just shaking hands, just a few words there. And now the flowers. He's all smiles. We only really met him in the Tour of Switzerland this year, Paul, where we interviewed him. Good job we did, wasn't it?
It certainly was a very good job we interviewed him, but we did know his story way back in the Tour Down Under when he was the winner of a very impressive stage into Hahndorf. He was with his teammate Luis Leon Sanchez, who himself is tipped for stardom for Spanish cycling, and this young man was on his way back from a very nasty accident in a bike race. He passed out because of an aneurysm and was in a coma for an awful long time, and since then he's battled his way back to form and battled his way back to the top of the sport. And of course he did admit that when he was in hospital trying to recover from that illness, he was inspired by a certain Lance Armstrong.
Well, this is the standings of the white jersey competition. He wins by 16 minutes over Mauricio Soler. Ahmet Teruka, who's been voted the most aggressive rider of the race, and that's not fighting, that's attacking, who was 49 minutes further back, so big gaps.
Well, I'm glad you qualified that, because certainly the man we're looking at now coming onto the top end of the podium here is the man who wore the white jersey on the Tour de France stage today, because he was the best rider after, of course, the man Contador and after Soler. He's third in that competition, but here he's receiving the award as the most aggressive, the most attacking rider of the Tour. And he certainly was. He was in the breakaways for in excess of 500 kilometers.
Le plus combatif, Ahmet Teruka. We saw a lot of him, and again another new name in the Tour as far as we're concerned. He's made a very big impression in this race, and yet another Spanish rider coming forth into the world of cycling. Comes from the north of the country. He's a Basque rider, and they're going to be pretty proud of him now when he goes home, because if anybody knows their sport, it's the people from the north of Spain. So we're watching here now the parade for the Maillot Jaune, the final one of the Tour de France. The two mayors of London and Gay Paris come out now to present the prizes.
Well, isn't it quite ironic? Ken Livingstone on the right-hand side, Mayor of London, saw the race in his country, in our country, in incredible weather conditions, and a little bit of rain starting to come down here for the finish of the Tour de France on the Champs-Élysées.
And this is it. We'll wait for the applause this time. And there you can hear it. And the music. For the last time in the 94 Tour de France, Alberto Contador now salutes the crowd as the winner of this race, as Ken Livingstone says to Daniel Lemaire of Paris, time to step forth and jointly present the final Maillot Jaune from London to Paris. Alberto Contador, and that's the first time we've actually seen the podium surrounded in yellow by the people below, the people who've worked on this Tour de France. Yes, and I can imagine how he feels.
I think this young man did a phenomenal performance throughout the whole of this race. He came here with one goal at the start of the Tour de France, and that was to win the white jersey competition for the best young rider. Well, he was head and shoulders above everybody in that competition. The third rider, by the way, finished 49 minutes behind this man, though the yellow jersey race was an awful lot closer than that. 23 seconds to Cadel Evans of Australia, 31 seconds to Levi Leipheimer, his own teammate. But that, I think, Phil, is the fresh new face of the sport of professional cycling.
What are we talking about? 31 seconds, a kilometre or so. If that time trial had gone that much further yesterday, then he might have lost the Tour de France by 1 or 2 seconds, but instead he's won it, and tonight he can look at the final yellow jersey. It's been a terrific race for Team Discovery Channel. You heard from Lance Armstrong, they can't believe it's happening because they got first, third, they've won the team by 19 minutes, so the whole lot will be up here shortly, and now they can, and they've won 2 stages as well.
Well, that was a phenomenal performance by the whole team, and as you say, Phil, certainly I think very much unexpected.
Just looking here, as he looks across, he sees somebody in the crowd who said something rather funny to him. He doesn't speak any English yet, but he's learning it, and he is really enjoying being on Team Discovery Channel. They've plucked him at the right time. Let's have a look at the final standings then with Michelob Ultra of the Tour de France this year. Contador of Spain, nobody tipped him at the start, 23 seconds ahead of Cadel Evans, first Australian podium.
It has been a great day, and I think now Alberto Contador can breathe a big sigh of relief.
Bob, what do you think this means? I mean, he said it was a dream to win a stage, and now to stand there finally on that podium. Levi Leipheimer, a long career with a highlight, no question.
Well, I think that Levi will look to the future now and maybe like to move up a couple of steps in the podium. He's only missed by 31 seconds, and that's not a hard equation to solve for Levi Leipheimer. It's been his most successful tour ever when the pressure was on, and here we have the Spanish national anthem for Alberto Contador.